Cheers. Right, we've landed in Edinburgh. We've driven to Scone Palace, and it's potfest at Scone Palace, so I'm going to go and look at some pottery, and then we're going to go around Scone, and there's no driving footage because the camera won't charge from the car's USB port, and there's no cigarette lighter, so that's a problem to be determined. Good fun, get these fancy E-Class cars and nothing works. Sorry, I tested something, it didn't work. Anyways, let's tell you about Scone Palace. Scone Palace is located near the village of Scone and the city of Perth. Scone Palace is the ancestral seat of the Earls of Mansfield, built using red sandstone with a castellated roof. It is an example of the Gothic revival style in Scotland. Hello, pottery cow. Anyways, Scone originally was the site of an early Christian church and later an Augustinian priory. Scone Abbey in the grounds of the palace for centuries held the stone of Scone upon which early kings of Scotland were crowned. Robert the Bruce was crowned at Scone in 1306, and the last coronation was of Charles II when he accepted the Scottish crown, in 1651. In 1559, Scone Abbey was severely damaged in the Scottish Reformation when a mob led by John Knox came to Scone from Dundee. In the 1600s, the abbey became a secular lordship and home within the parish of Scone. It has since been the home of the Earls of Mansfield for well over 400 years. In the early 19th century, the palace was enlarged by architect William Atkinson, and in 1802, David William Murray, 3rd Earl of Mansfield, commissioned Atkinson to extend the palace. Scone was updated while maintaining the characteristics of the medieval Gothic abbey buildings it was built upon, and the majority of the work was finished in 1807. One of Scone's best-known features is the gallery. Landscaping work around the palace was undertaken by John Claudius Loudon, and further work was done in 1842 to ready Scone for the visit of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in about, I think, was it 1842, did they say today? Oh yes, 1842, it's right there. The staterooms house a collection of furniture, ceramics, ivories, and clocks. There are Rococo chairs, items designed by Robert Adam, Chippendale, Dresden, and Sèvres, along with Jean-Henri Reisner writing desk given to David Murray, 2nd Earl of Mansfield, by Marie Antoinette. There is also a range of Scottish and British portraiture by Reynolds, Ramsay, and Laszlo. The Lennox room includes the bed hanging made by Mary, Queen of Scots, and the Mansfield family continue to live here today, preserving the Palace of Scone and its estate, and it's why we are not allowed to take pictures inside, because there's lots of pictures of the family all about the place. And that's that for Scone. We are driving off to Kinnaird Castle right now. have probably figured out, we got the traffic camera working. Traffic camera? Dash cam. Dash cam, that's what it's called. We got the dash cam working. Would you like to know how the dash cam is working? I will tell you how the dash cam is working. The dash cam currently is plugged in to a cord that runs to the portable battery that I brought with me, and the portable battery is plugged into the USB-C port of the car. So the portable battery is getting charged by the car, and the portable battery is running the camera. It's an absolute ridiculous endeavor, looks very silly, and it works. So it's not silly, it's just very usefully planned and built. But yes, it looks ridiculous. And it means my external battery is not being used for what it should be used for. But I'm going to grab another cord for tomorrow to plug my cell phone in, because the wireless charging pad in the car didn't charge my phone today either. But there's worse problems. There's way worse problems. All right, on to Kinnaird Castle. This is a 15th century castle near Brecon in Angus, and has been home to the Carnegie family, the Earls of Sussex, S-O-U-T-H-E-S-K, Sussex, for more than 600 years. The charters of the 14th century show a mansion had existed on this site since that time. In 1409, the castle is listed as granted to the Clan Carnegie after the Battle of Brecon in May 18, 1452. The castle was somewhat burnt down by Alexander Lindsay, 4th Earl of Crawford, as Clan Carnegie was supporting King James II of Scotland, and that was a no-no, so goodbye. In 1617, King James VI stayed at Kinnaird after it had been rebuilt. And then during the winter of 1715, James Francis Edward Stuart spent some time at the castle, and as punishment for supporting the Jacobite Rising of 1715, the estate was confiscated from the Carnegie family for supporting the Old Pretender. The estate was then bought back by the closest living descendant in 1764, and the castle was transformed by architect James. This says Playfair, but I think it's Mayfair, in 1791 into a large house. About 1855, the castle was returned to the Clan Carnegie, and the 9th Earl employed Mr. Bryce to remodel the house in a Victorian baronial style, and it boasts the largest collection of coats of arms of any private British building. In 1921, the castle was damaged severely by fire and has been rebuilt over the last 80 years, adding to its modern conveniences. The current Duke of Fife's father inherited the title from his aunt, who went by the name of Princess Arthur of Connaught. I don't remember. I think I typed it wrong. She was also the Duchess of Fife in her own right. The dukedom was created when the Earl of Fife married the Princess Royal, the daughter of King Edward VII, and it was recreated so that it could pass through the female line when it became very clear that there would be no male heir. This house is still privately owned, and you can stay in apartments on the property, but there's actually no access to inside the house itself. So we are in Macduff Tower this evening and tomorrow evening, and we had lasagna and garlic bread and cake for dinner. And I went out and flew the drone, which you'll see a bit later on, and there's a private park with deer and things, and they do shooting excursions and all sorts of fun things up here at the modernized Kinnaird Castle. So yeah, that is travel day and day one of the England and Scottish adventure pretty much at an end. You'll see me again in a second, I think. Not see me, hear me. And that's that for now. So you guys all take care and stay dry out there. Bye. All right, so we've arrived at Kinnaird Castle, And this evening we're staying in Macduff Tower. Excuse me while I get to Macduff Tower. I haven't counted how many stairs it is to Macduff Tower, but there we go. And I've just realized that I've put the little microphone on my person, but I haven't turned it on. So hopefully it's picking up my voice. Phew. All right, here we are, Macduff Tower. And we have got the sitting room. Thank you, Gimbal. Sitting room. They lit the fire up pretty. Kitchen. Microwave. And waiting for us is garlic bread. And lasagna and some salad and some estate strawberries, freshly whipped cream and chocolate cake. Yum. Okay, let's go. Where does this go? Just because we can. Oh, a pantry. In a turret, a pantry in a turret. Gotta love it. All right. Whew. Oh, and some locally made fudge. The rest of the sitting room. The dining room, if we care to have folk over. Oh gosh, there's a hot plate, map. We're in the tower. So yes, who's coming for dinner? That is the question. All right, onwards. Bedroom 1, the Richmond bedroom. Very nice, very nice, very nice. And the bathroom for the Richmond room. Looking out over the front of Kinnaird. Tiny little balcony. I wonder if we can open the window and get onto the balcony. That would be fun. Do. One more. And the bull bedroom. I thought it was the blue bedroom, but I suppose it's because it's got 1, 2 bulls over the beds. And this adorable chair. And this cute little bathroom. But yeah, look at that gate. Isn't that a pretty gate? All right, that is your tour of Macduff Tower. Oh, and there's some deer in the field over there. Over there. Over there. Anyways, I should bring the baggage up now, so wish me luck. And yeah, it's a lot of stairs. See you soon. So I'm just meandering the grounds of Kinnaird. And why are wellies so large? Because really, slightly more sensible footwear would be appreciated. And these have gone a bit squidgy. Runners would just be worse and never dry out again. It's the squidgy noises that they're making that's funny, really. But lovely, to say the least. You know, I honestly didn't need to do that long walk to get the footage that I got. I could have just gone over here. Let's sigh. Anyways, there we are. Get it in frame, will you, Ashley James? Get it in frame. Beautiful evening, though. It's not too rainy. It's quite lovely. So there we go. But very squidgy. We'll maybe have another go from here. How's that sound? Good plan? Hopefully the deer don't try and eat it. The deer, by the way, are over there. And they're all watching me. So yeah, they're over there. And the castle is right there. Good fun. All right, drone again.